and I was in teaching for 2 years and 25 years in Foundry. Nowadays, I'm doing consultancy. I'm stationed at Pune. First slide, please.
Yeah.
So my topic given to me that shop floor practices for inoculation, some tips and guidelines. Okay, so this presentation I made based on the WhatsApp group questions. Basically, we are into WhatsApp groups. As you know, Mr. Sandeep Kulkarni created one Foundry WhatsApp group uh, 6 years back, and there are many WhatsApp groups. There are many questions coming about inoculation, metallurgy, and everything. So my presentation is based on the questions raised by various members of the WhatsApp group. Okay. So first I will talk about the charge mix. So basically, what is the charge mix difference between a cast iron and edge iron? There is no difference basically. In cast iron, edge iron, both we use edge iron, pig iron, uh, steel, and runner risers. Okay, there is no difference. The one question which basically members were asking about edge iron is that they are not getting a low manganese scrap. Okay, what to do? How to reduce the manganese? The only thing what they can do is that they can use the sponge iron. Either they get a low manganese scrap for producing the ferritic ductile iron, or they add a sponge iron. The sponge iron, especially gas-based sponge iron, they have to use the round one. Basically, the round one sponge iron that is produced with gas fired that has a extra low sulfur. So, and it reduces the manganese also. Okay. The second point, what people are asking, what is the maximum limit of cast iron and edge iron? The cast iron, through various discussion, what we have seen, the minimum sulfur to be maintained is 0.05% for inoculation to be effective. Whereas in edge iron, before treatment, the sulfur should be 0.02. Okay, above that, if it is there, then you have to reduce the sulfur by desulfurization, either through magnesium treatment, or you have to increase the magnesium addition. So ideally 0.02 is 0.025. That is more than sufficient. It should not be more. Otherwise, your LI consumption will increase and your dross will increase after treatment. Whereas after treatment, it should not be more than 0.015. So before in edge iron, before treatment, it should be 0.02 to 0.025, and after treatment, it should be 0.015 maximum. Then only you will get a good quality of edge iron. Whereas in cast iron, sulfur should be 0.05 minimum to get good inoculation effect. That's what I want to say. Next slide, please. Now, many our panelists have talked about nucleation potential of the inoculant. Now I will talk about a very important thing which they have not talked. Okay, and what is the nucleation potential in cast iron? What is the inoculation potential in edge iron? This I heard from a very senior foundryman. For cast iron, your nucleation potential is in the furnace. Whereas for edge iron, your nucleation potential is in the treatment ladle. Once again, I repeat, for cast iron, your nucleation potential is in the furnace. Whereas for edge iron, nucleation potential is in the treatment ladle. So for cast iron, one has to take care of the metal in the furnace. For edge iron, they have to do a very good treatment in the treatment ladle. Second question about cast iron edge iron, many people ask, what should be the charge mix of cast iron? You can use charge mix of anything. Only the CRCA, normally pig iron should be around 10 to 20%, and CRCA varies according to the grade. Whereas in edge iron, there is no such restriction for CRCA. You can use 100% CRCA to produce ferritic iron. If you are a ferritic edge iron, you can use 100% CRCA to produce 700/2 also. So CRCA percentage in edge iron in furnace has no role in the grade. Whereas in cast iron, yes, for a higher grade cast iron, you have to increase the not CRC, it is a heavy melting scrap. Okay, the equivalent. That's what I emphasize. For cast iron, HMS addition has a function on the properties, whereas in edge iron, CRC addition has no function on the properties. You can produce any grade with 100% CRC in edge iron. Second thing, I will talk about again I'm coming to the furnace only. I'm in the furnace role only. You have to either use the pig iron and the cast iron. Okay, around 10 to 15% pig iron, or if you do not use pig iron, use the silicon carbide. 0.2 to 0.3% of the total charge. I'm not talking about any inoculant right now. I'm talking about the furnace only. Why I'm talking about the furnace, I'll come the later stage. If you use silicon carbide, and second question, frequently or where it to be used, when it to be added. You should not add in the bottom because silicon carbide is a powerful deoxidizer. If it is concentrated at one point, it may lead to the lining erosion also. Better you add in the middle. And some people say we are adding silicon carbide in the end. No, there is no problem. Second thing, third thing I will talk about silicon carbide is that what is the difference between silicon carbide and ferrosilicon? Okay, for increment of ferrosilicon, we are using ferrosilicon also. Silicon carbide also gives the silicon. So what is the difference between? Please remember one point very carefully. Silicon carbide, ferrosilicon melts in the furnace. Ferrosilicon melts in the furnace. Silicon carbide dissolves in the furnace metal. This is the basic difference one should always keep in the mind. Then people will understand how to use it. Once again, I repeat, ferrosilicon melts. Whereas silicon carbide has a very high melting point. It does not melt, it dissolves. Dissolving means like if you are adding a sugar in a coffee, it is dissolving, not melting. So silicon carbide is doing that role. So you have to add in the middle, not in the end, before tapping. If we add in the I've seen one foundry, they are adding in the end, silicon carbide adding in the end, they are saying that they are getting very good microstructure, but metal is not flowing into the metal. Sorry, metal is not flowing into the mold through filter because that is undissolved silicon carbide. That will choke up the mold, and the metal is not flowing through the mold. So you have to use silicon carbide in the middle. If you put it in the bottom, it will erode the lining. If you put it on the top, it does not dissolve because it requires time. Dissolution always take a time. Okay, so you have to charge along with the CRC scrap to get a better utilization of silicon carbide. Okay, so either use the pig iron or use the silicon carbide. If you are using the both, that is the best for cast iron. Whereas for AG iron, people are using silicon carbide also. There is no problem. Okay, and I written as a use of additive. Additive is nothing but a preconditioner. Okay, so in AG iron also either you use the pig iron 10% or use the preconditioner, so that see every heat is not uniform. Please remember. Suppose somebody is getting a heat time of around, let us say 60 minutes. If heat does not come in 60 minutes, there will be some delays. Okay, so and this additive has to be added along with the charge. You cannot add in this precondition should not be added in the last, because this precondition is nothing but a you can say zircon aluminum alloy basically. So zircon has a high melting point. It requires some time to dissolve also, this preconditioner. So you have to give sufficient, just there is a delay in the mold line, I will add a preconditioner and I will tap the mold. No, it doesn't work like that. It requires some time to dissolve also. So you have to add a preconditioner along with the charge. Once again, I am repeating, for cast iron, use pig iron 10 to 20% or use a silicon carbide. For AG iron, use pig iron 10% or use a preconditioner. Okay, so the preconditioner to be 0.05 to 0.1% of the total charge. Now I'll come to the the topic of today is inoculation. Now we'll come to the ferrosilicon versus yellow inoculant. And okay, one of the panelists have told that ferrosilicon is not a good inoculant, but I slightly differ. Okay, in this case, many foundries where I worked, in bigger foundries, I am taking bigger scale foundries, where housings, transmission cases, flywheels, where they are using only freshly crushed ferrosilicon only. They are not using any alloy inoculant. Once again, I am repeating, freshly crushed ferrosilicon. That is acts as a good inoculant. Whereas alloy inoculant is required where you have your wall thickness is very less, or it is heavily coated with you can say metal flow is taking a very tedious path. There you require alloy inoculant, or you require a longer fading time, or you are not sure about actual you can say pouring, how much time it will take the pouring. depending on the bench weight. If it is a low bench weight item, heavy section, you go for a ferrosilicon inoculant. The third thing I will talk about, I think nobody talked about this one, is that in one of the foundry recently, not recently, around 4 years back, I consulted Mr. Suresh Sole. He said, why don't you use the ferrosilicon in edge iron? He told me. Okay, I will try. Then, as you all know, edge iron has 3 inoculation stages. One is from the furnace to the treatment ladle to the pouring ladle. From pouring ladle, when you are pouring in the mold, there is stream inoculation. I call it as a 3 stage. I used successfully ferrosilicon while transferring metal from furnace to the treatment ladle. I have not used any alloy inoculant. I use only ferrosilicon as inoculant while transferring from the furnace to the treatment ladle. Of course, from after treatment ladle to the pouring ladle, I use the alloy inoculation. Thereby, I could reduce some of the cost, and I find there is no difference in the results of the, you can say results means microstructure and other things. Please, next slide, please. So this is people have already talked about. Once again, I will emphasize, inoculation should not absorb moisture. So people have told about the storage and other things, but as a user, I will put it as I am user. I have never supplied. I will say you procure inoculated in a sealed bags. There should be some polythene bag inside. What I mean is, whatever it may be, the procurement condition, if you are directly procuring any inoculant for inoculation purpose, it should be sealed. I've seen long back, I don't want to take the company name, one of that company is our panel member. They used to supply inoculant in excellent condition. Moisture cannot be absorbed with such a good packing. Then you open the inoculant bag only on the furnace platform before the inoculation. Take inoculant and see again cover the bag, especially in the heavy season, high humidity regions. This is the biggest problem. Some people get suddenly chilling, some people get suddenly some nervous chilling. This absorbing moisture is one of the culprit. So you should, why you procure the inoculant in a good condition, store it in a good condition. So procurement, nobody has talked, so I talked about procurement condition also. This ferrosilicon inoculant also alloy inoculant, I already talked about all of these things. And addition quantity, people have already talked about for cash. For if you are using a press pour, addition for cash channel, let us say, inoculation addition can be 0.08 to 0.12. If you are using a manual pouring, inoculation can be 0.15 to 0.2%. Okay. This is the fourth last point in the slide is silicon increment for each year. I will tell you one of my experience, what I have seen over a period of, I mean, each year for 20 years, for cash and for 27 years. If you, from bath silicon, let us say, from bath silicon to final silicon, if you could increase up to 1%, then there will not be any carbide, I've seen. Once again, I'm writing. Let us say if the bath silicon, if you want a final silicon, let us say 1.5, sorry, 2.5, your bath silicon should be 1.5. Silicon increase from bath to final should be 1%. What are the silicon? Silicon comes from where? Where ferrosilicon magnesium, inoculation. You do all these calculations. How much ferrosilicon you are adding? You calculate how much silicon increment will be there. How much 3-stage inoculation quantity you sum up, add the silicon, multiply the silicon percent, you will get the how much silicon is going on. So you add up all these things. Once you get 1%, so that will be give the final chemistry of jump by 1%. Once again, I repeat, I'm just confusing. So from bath to final, it should be 1% only. So silicon comes from the magnesium, ferrosilicon magnesium and silicon. You can always calculate depending on the addition level and decide the bath silicon. If you could increase the silicon by 0.8 to let us if you cannot be 1 point, you cannot by 1%, you should increase up to 0.91%. Then casting will be almost trouble free. That's what I want to silicon increment in SGM. Especially I want to, because many people, how much inoculation should be used? See, every foundry has their own practice. Okay, in SGM I have seen one foundry use total inoculation 0.4. In some foundry, people are using 0.6 also. So I'm not talking about addition level, anything here. I want only silicon increment from bath to final. If it is 1%, then your casting is perfectly okay. Next slide, please. Sandeep, next slide. So now I'm coming to my last slide. So now I talk about two things here. I gave more emphasis on the furnace charge mix. Once again, I repeat, your total inoculation potential for cast iron is in the furnace. For edge iron, total inoculation potential is in the treatment ladle. And you see, we talk about more about inoculation, and also many suppliers talk about inoculation earlier. Now they are not talking. I will talk about one thing. People were using cupola, okay, and I know many foundries they add any hardly inoculation. Even if they add very bare minimum, still they produce a good casting. Why? Their inoculation has an overall. Where the inoculation effect is coming, it is coming in the charge mix. It is coming in the cupola itself. So there we don't talk about the inoculation. When you come to induction furnace, we talk about the inoculation. So inoculation has become more important when induction furnaces have come. So when we talk about this defects like microstructure, soft, hard, chilling, microstructure, machinability, people, some people talk about inoculation is not okay, inoculation addition is not okay. I say strongly, first you check your furnace charge mix. Okay, what you are doing, whether inoculation potentially there in the furnace or treatment ladle, then you go for the inoculation. I will give one example. I think Mr. Avinash Joshi is here in this webinar. He and me worked together in one of the foundry. We poured some 3,000 to 4,000 casting of cylinder block course made with the robotic molding, hyper molding line with auto pour. Initially, we had problem with the inoculation dispenser. Okay, it is. I'm not saying it is malfunctioning. There is no consistency. Sometimes, let us say I want to add point. You can say 0.1%. Sometimes it is giving 0.9. Sometimes it is giving 1.1. Okay, sometimes maybe 0.8. It is giving like that. Initially, because it is installation stage, still want to produce the casting. And you will. He also told in this webinar. The machine, after machining, hardly there is any rejection. One is there is no foundry rejection. That is the greatest cost of the foundry. Second part is there is no machinability problem. So slight variation in the inoculation, don't think the microstructure, hard, soft, chilling, all machinability, microshrinkage, these are all will be affected. And of course, there is a now machinability has, let us talk about microstructure. If there is a problem in the microstructure, first talk about your furnace charge mix and alloying. If it is coming soft and hard, you talk about your furnace charge mix, inoculation potential, and your alloying. If it is chilling is coming, again I talk about the furnace has a sufficient potential of inoculation. Now thermal analysis is available. All CE meters have the thermal analysis curves. One can always analyze. A micro shrinkage, yeah, the little bit. I am talking about inoculation has an effect. And for third part, if it is inner chilling, inoculation is a problem. If it is a regular chilling, first you don't think about inoculation. First you think about your furnace charge mix, the inoculation potential of the charge mix. Second, you think about the inoculation. Micro shrinkage, yes, little bit. You can see it may again it come to the charge mix again, composition of the metal, and third you think about the inoculation. Inoculation has some role. Regarding machinability, a little bit inoculation is a problem. Nowadays, machinability is a, you can say it is a imaginary term. Now I call it, after spending 25 years, I say it is imaginary term. Machine shop people say the casting is not okay. Casting people say your machine is not okay. Your tips are second hand tips, third hand tips. Now I will say I'll give one advice to all the people who are developing the casting. While developing a casting, don't use very high rate inoculant, high potential inoculant. During the development stage, use the simplest inoculation, give the casting to the machine shop, understand the machinability. If there is no machinability, then throughout the life of that casting, there will not be any machinability problem. Use simple inoculant, simple process while developing a casting from metallurgical point of view. So this much I want to talk. So inoculation has a role in the metallurgy, but not a big role, because everybody knows people of metal, people do not inoculate, or they add very less metal. Whole metallurgy is lying in the, you can say, furnace charge mix and your composition and inoculation potential of the metal, and you should more concentrate on the metal side rather than more concentrating on the inoculant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. Dr. Rao, thank you very much. It was a very nice presentation, and I think it was my intention to include in the panel. It was the only thing that you can share your experience that you have gathered in last 25 or 30 years, and that will be really come good because all other are the suppliers or the partners. We want this particular thought from the countrymen also, and you have put up it in a right way. So thank you very much for presenting it.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
I made based on the questionnaires which are coming in the WhatsApp groups and whatever the
Yes.
experience I have with the various processes and my seniors like Mr. Suresh Shole and one gentleman from, I think he's from Germany, he told me that you concentrate for cast iron, you concentrate only on the furnace. For edge iron, you concentrate more on the treatment ladle. He told me 2-3 times. So based on those things which I also experienced in the foundry, this I made up all these things. That's all. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Sandeep and my co-panelists. And I have given my own opinion. Okay, if it contradicts to somebody,